hello. Today we're going to review our analysis of the song Scars to Your Beautiful. And this song has been sung by Alessia Cara. Okay, our goal is to help you learn how to write an analytical essay. Okay, when we're writing an analytical essay, this is one of the framework that you can use. The first thing that you have to do is to identify the theme or the main idea, then identify the persona, the point of view, imagery and their symbolisms, explain the significance of the text, and then lastly have a conclusion. Alright, now let's use that very simple framework when we analyze Scars to Your Beautiful. First, what is Scars to Your Beautiful? Scars to Your Beautiful is a contemporary song sung by Alessia Cara, and the songwriters are Felder Warren and Carashola Alicia. It is actually one of the most famous songs out there as of yesterday, March 14, 2021. The official music video had already hit 14 million, if I'm not mistaken. So 14 million people have already watched that video. So it is a very popular song right now. And the reason why it is popular is because of the empowering message that it contains. Now let's break down that message when we analyze it. Alright, let's go back to our framework. The first thing that we have to do is to identify the main idea. Identify the theme of the song. The theme is very simple. Everyone is beautiful just the way we are. Now we go to the persona. So when you're identifying the persona, I want you to remember the 3 steps. The first one is identify who the speaker is. Provide textual evidences to prove that that really is the speaker. And third, you have to explain and analyze the significance of the persona. Let's look at that. Let's practice that as we analyze Scars to Your Beautiful. So, it seems like the persona in this song is a young woman. Because Alessia Cara is a young woman, it's safe to assume that the persona is a young woman. It seems like the persona is observing another person, a girl. She is observing a girl, and we know that the girl that is the person that is being observed is a girl because of the use of the pronoun she, and that's evidence in the lines. She just wants to be beautiful. What's amazing here is that the persona is aware that the person that she is observing, this girl's self-image is dependent on the validation of other people. And we can see that from the lines, she craves attention, she praises an image. So the persona is another person observing a girl who seems to have a negative self-image. This persona is also aware of how the society, including herself, perhaps she is part of the system that perpetuates the toxic self-image. Or perhaps she has a role to play in the perpetuation of that negative self-image. But this person is very much aware that she had played, or she has a role in the perpetuation of that person's self-image. And we can see that in the lines, maybe we have made her blind. This persona is owning up to the mistakes that he or she has done, to the role that he or she must have played. So the use of the we have made her blind allows us to see that self-awareness in our persona. Once again, our persona is an observer, but an observer that is very much aware of what the other person is feeling, as well as what she has done to elicit such feeling. The third thing that I want to point out is that it is noteworthy that the persona is actually a girl. right? It is good that we have a girl that is actually talking to another girl. And in the lines, we were stars and we're beautiful. We see the persona actively supporting and empowering another girl. And that's a very progressive idea. We have been so used to the patriarchal way of looking at things where women are pitted against another women, right? There's always that stereotype where um, women are banging against each other and then shouting against each other and pulling the hairs of each other, and that had helped the patriarchal society to keep their dominance. But this song actively fights against that. We have here a persona, a girl who is empowering another girl. So this is a very progressive and a very empowering message in itself. Okay? So that's a persona. Another girl, an observer, who is very much aware of what the other girl is feeling and is actively advocating for that feeling to change. Now, after we look at the persona, we look at the point of view. Point of view pertains to the angle by which we see the text. Now, what's interesting about this poem is that there's a shifting point of views that have been used in this poem, and all of them, at least to me, to my analysis, seems to point out and strengthen the points that I have already mentioned a while ago. So let's look at those shifting point of view. In the beginning, the point of view is third person point of view. And as evidence in the lines, by the use of the word she, right? Again, we have the lines, she just wants to be beautiful. So the use of she establishes two entities, establishes a division between the speaker and the person that is being observed. But the poem interestingly shifts to the use of the first person point of view. And it can be seen in the lines, maybe we have made her blind. The use of we assumes, makes us aware that the person has a concrete role in the negative self-image of the other person, as I have already mentioned. Now, what's really amazing is that the use of the shift, right, from third person to first person also means the owning up to the action. This persona is very much aware of her active role in perpetuating the negative self-image. And so right now, what she's doing is just using the same power to advocate for positive self-image. So the first person point of view points out that active part, that active choice to advocate for positive self-image. So the first person, the shift in the first person point of view has a meaning, has a significant meaning. But it does not just end there. It actually shifts to the second person point of view. We see the persona actively talking to the readers, talking to the listeners, and saying lines such as, "You should know you're beautiful just the way you are." This almost feels like a conversation between two people, right? This almost feels like a conversation between not just two people, but between the persona and the listeners and the millions and millions of listeners that are out there. This persona is actively changing the mindset of the listeners, actively telling them to love themselves for who they are. On one hand, we can read it as that the use of the you means that the persona is actively changing the mindset of millions of listeners. But the shift to the use of you also means that we could also glean that it seems like the persona, on one hand, it could be another person, but now that we look at it, now that we look at the point of view, it seems like the persona is just one person who is talking to herself. This person is actually, one part of this person is vilifying herself, right? While the other part is trying its very hard to tell her that she is beautiful just the way she is. So this shows the two sides, the two conflicting sides of a person, right? And that's an interesting reading. It's actually a noble an idea. It's very noble to tell other people to love yourself because you are beautiful. But it is even more noble to tell yourself, to advocate for self-love, to tell yourself that you are worthy of being loved. Sometimes, in our society that is consumerist and capitalistic, and people are looked at as products that carry value. Sometimes the society has allowed us to look at ourselves as a product that serves other people, and sometimes in the process we don't think of ourselves as important, as valuable. Now, this poem is actively advocating for self-love, right? It's saying that love yourself. And what's really good about this is that there are two ways of looking at it, right? Sometimes our self is the worst critic. But if we shift it, right? If we shift the way we think, ourself, we can also be our greatest ally. The hero is within us, right? Okay, so when we look at the point of view, we expanded our idea, our analysis of the persona. The persona could also be just one person talking to her two sides. One that vilifies herself and the other that advocates for self-love. Okay, so that's point of view. Now we look at the third literary element. Oh, the fourth literary element that I want you to identify, that's imagery. Again, you have to identify an imagery. You have to provide textual evidences, and you have to explain the symbolism of this imagery. Why are they together? Imagery is about the concrete details, the description of the concrete details, while symbolism pertains to the abstract ideas that we attach to concrete details, that we attach to things. So imagery and symbolism usually go hand in hand. Okay, now let's look at Scarce to Your Beautiful, and let's identify two visual imageries. The first one is, I said it already, it's a visual imagery, the visual imagery of the toxic body standards in the society. One of the most stark visual imagery can be found in the lines, "She has dreams to be an envy, so she's starving." Cover girls eat nothing. These images allude to the prevalent visual culture in Instagram, in popular media. The Kardashians have proliferated this. Fashion magazines that promote unrealistic body types, unrealistic beauty standards, with stuff that can only be achieved through extreme dieting or by going under the knife. So these unrealistic beauty standards have caused a lot of young girls to suffer from mental health struggles, to suffer from low self-esteem, and some actually develop eating disorders like anorexia and bulimia that have taken the lives of some of these very young girls. They can be seen, the concrete allusion to eating disorders can be seen in the lines, "What's a little bit of hunger? I could go a little while longer. She fades away." Fades away is such a powerful, powerful symbolism. It could mean the dimming of the light, but it could also mean death, right? At the expense of unrealistic beauty standards, people are. and I'm not even exaggerating, are actually killing themselves in the process. So that's one, the visual imagery of the toxic beauty standards in our current society. The second, look at another set, right? And that's the visual imagery of the beauty of stars who shine in the darkness. I'm going back to the one that I've mentioned a while ago. She fades away. Fade is such a powerful symbolism because it symbolizes the dying down process of something that used to be so bright. Um, the poem, by using the symbolism, by using the word fade, stands firm with its belief that people are born beautiful. People are born beautiful, and it's given to them. It's not something that is that they've created, right? It's something that is with them already in the beginning. It's something that they just nurtured, and um, the ones that are creating the ones that are deeming these lights are the unrealistic beauty standards, the unrealistic belief and mindset of people. But what's really good about this poem, this very simple song, is that even though it has a very gloom use of visual imagery of light, there's also a very bright use, a pragmatic but very bright use of the symbolism of light. And we see the visual imagery of the stars amidst the darkness. There's a hope that's waiting for you in the dark, and we're stars and we're beautiful. Here we see that the persona recognizes the darkness. This is not toxic positivity, where we say the darkness does not exist. Rather, the persona of the poem is very much aware that the darkness exists. And here we see that the persona recognizes the darkness, and it's very pragmatic about it. Yes, sometimes we feel insecure about ourselves, and that's not a bad thing. But what we have to remember is that even though we do feel insecure, even though sometimes we may have been tempted to change a part of ourselves, or we may have been scarred by a lot of the bullying and mental health struggles that we've been through, we remain beautiful because there's hope in the darkness. In the midst of the darkness, there's star. Stars are shining. And what's really amazing about stars that no matter how many stars there are, each and every one of them are beautiful and shining in their own ways. And that's what the story, what the poem is trying to tell us, what the song is trying to tell us. Each and every one of us is beautiful in our own way. Now, after we identify the visual imagery and explain the symbolism, we look at the significance. We explain the significance of the poem in contemporary society. Analyzing scars that are beautiful is such a timely reminder of advocating for positive self-image, precisely because the contemporary society is filled with a lot of mental health struggles. Nowadays, mental health struggles are the ones that make the life of a lot of young girls and young boys extremely difficult. It is good that as early as they're they're young, they are also already exposed to positive um, messages like this, empowering and positive messages like this. It is important that during their formative years, this are the messages that they will hear so that they could build a healthy self-esteem. Second, if as early as now they are already exposed to positive self-image, self-love and positive self-image, we are hopefully preventing the coming of the generation that is dealing with negative mental health struggles and negative um, psychological dysfunction brought about by this, by toxic body standards, toxic beauty standards. If we eliminate that, hopefully we make a better, a safer, a more peaceful world. So that's the significance of this song in our contemporary society, especially now that the validation of people are largely dependent on society. In the TikTok culture, Instagram culture, it becomes imperative for young people to see a part of their culture advocating for positive self-love, because it's very easy for them to be swayed. It's very easy for them to doubt themselves. All right, so you identify the significance, and before you end your essay, you reiterate, you do your conclusion. And in conclusion, there are two techniques. The first one is you reiterate your main idea, or you leave a message that, you know, have a lasting impression. So you could do it the simplest way, and you just reiterate your main idea. Everyone is beautiful in your own way. Even the scars, people remain beautiful. Alessia Cara's Scars to Your Beautiful is a positive testament of that fact. Alright? So that is how you analyze a text. Okay, now, again, this is our text, Alessia Cara's Scars to Your Beautiful. And when you're analyzing an essay, this is again the framework that you can use. So you identify the main idea or the theme, the persona, the point of view, the imagery, the symbolism, the significance, and you have a short conclusion. Alright, so this is the reference that I've used in this video lesson. Alright, so once again, my name is Herbel Santiago. I am an educator. I'm also a writer. And I want each and every one of you to love yourself. Because, no joke, you are beautiful just the way you are. Have a good day. Bye.